Hi Krafty Friends, this is Jen from Katahdin Krafts and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am part of a hop called Let's Make Snowflakes, and this is a group of us from our Facebook group Handmade Happiness. We all enjoy making cards and sharing them with one another, so we thought we would bring you some snowflake cards today to share with you. For my card, I am using the Snowflake Soiree from the Greetery. I also have the set of stamps that I did not picture here, but you will see later on in the video. And I'm using 4 different colors from Catherine Pooler's ink. Okay, to start off my card today, I had pre-sprayed all of my stencils with pixie spray to make them all tacky. One of the nice things about this layering stencil is that they come with guides that help you line everything up. So I'm just using the guide right now, and it does come in both landscape and portrait, so you can do your card either way. So I lined up my card, stuck it down, and now I'm using Seafoam from Catherine Pooler's ink, which I just received a huge shipment that I did for Black Friday. That was my Black Friday splurge. I bought myself some inks, so I'm pretty excited to be putting them to use in this project today. Now, I was having a little bit of difficulty on some of these stencils because they are really super delicate. So you can see right there, I'm pushing that down. So it was bending up a little bit and wouldn't quite stick. So I just kept on pushing it down. And then I was strategic with my ink blending. I went in a downward motion so I wouldn't go underneath that stencil. And then the pixie spray did leave a little bit of residue on there. So I just went ahead and flicked that off a little bit with my finger. Now, each one of these layering stencils also lets you know on the bottom which one it is. So first I used A1 and then this is A2, so they fit in perfectly. And you can use all 4 of them in conjunction with one another, or you could just use A1 and A2 on a card and then B1 and B2 on another card, or you can layer them all together. They're pretty versatile, so there are so many possibilities with these stencils. And now I am using Sangria for my another ink, which is a darker color, but I really like this shade. And I tried to make it a little bit of variegated look to it. I didn't darken it the whole way, and so you can see the different shades that you can get out of one ink, which I thought was pretty cool. So it all depends on how much you put on your brush and how hard you push. And I tried to make that a little bit different. And now when I'm putting down my next stencil, I actually went right to B2 because I have a different plan with B1, and that one's a little bit more prominent. So I wanted this one to be a little bit more in the background color. Now, because I'm going from a darker shade to a lighter shade on the same brush, I'm just getting off some of that pigment on my microfiber cloth, which I just throw into the washer. And now I am using pink champagne. And I use the same color families with the same brush, so that's why I felt comfortable with just wiping that off and then using it again. And as you can see, I had another little section pop up on me on the stencil, so I just brushed down again, and it seemed to work just fine that way. But the stencils are very delicate, so it's definitely something that I just had to be easy with. And I think I tend to press down. That's my thing. I press down a little bit too hard when I'm ink blending, and so I think that I am, my worst enemy when it came to my stencils today. So I just have to get a little bit lighter on my hand with that. I definitely find that I use a lot of elbow grease. I don't know. It's just what I do. Okay, so now I'm getting out some Gina K Glitz Glitter Gel in Silver and mixing that up a bit, and that is why I decided to use B1 last, so I could put this on and make that a little bit more prominent right in the front of some of that, the snowflakes. At least that's how I felt about it. I felt that these were a little bit, there was more openings, more stencil to fill. So now I'm just taking the time and filling in all of those snowflakes with my palette knife. And I had to be careful on this section again because I had a couple of those little spots. And maybe if I had taken the time with the pixie spray and just resprayed those areas, I probably would have been fine. But this is working out as well. You can see I did end up having an issue with this stencil and the glitter gel, but it wasn't because of those little lifted areas. I'm not really sure what quite happened, but you'll see when I peel this off, it did tear away just a little bit. So now it's the big reveal, and you can see that center green snowflake did have some of the pixie spray, or the glitter gel didn't adhere right and it kind of tore it up, but I knew that there's always a solution because I am definitely not a perfect card maker, and I always have to come up with plan B, or often I have to come up with plan B, so I wasn't really worried. I knew that we could cover that mistake up. So I cut out all of the snowflakes that come with the die, which there's a lot of different elements to this die, and they're very intricate and pretty. And then they all work together again with a stencil that is included with the bundle. So they're very, very versatile. So I'm just sticking that down, and I'm going to do some more stenciling on each of the snowflakes with the same colors. So my color palette today, the greens are Seafoam and Spruce, and then the pinks are Pink Champagne and Sangria. So the Spruce is the darker, and I'm doing some darker. And I did all of the snowflakes, but I did not use all the snowflakes, but I did stencil all of them, so now I have some for future use. And with that one, you just turn it, and you use the same stencil again. And I just did it in the Seafoam to get a little bit of contrast. And probably I could have just used the Spruce again and wiped off the brush on the side on my glass mat and then just went really light, and it would have still given me the contrast that I'd like. That's the thing that I've read a lot about with Catherine Pooler inks, is that you can use them in a lot of different ways. So I'm just going to line that one up with the bigger snowflake and switch to my pink palette. So a little Pink Champagne for this one. Just stenciling this on. And this was actually really fun just to see. I like the reveals, and these are quick little reveals because, you know, it's not a big surface. And they were really easy to line up. As you can see, it didn't take me much time. Of course, I'm struggling with that one as I'm telling you that it was easy, but it was. I just flipped it over and stuck it on that way. And just use a contrasting color again. And there we have it, another snowflake. Also wanted to use some of the Glitz gel on some of these snowflakes. So I grabbed that out, and I just do 2 of them. And I just had to be super careful when I was peeling them off. And this is the first time that I've ever tried to use a stencil this small, probably in delicate or this detailed, on such small pieces. So a little piece of it did come off again, but I was still able to use it. And it's just, you know, super sticky. But there, I like the way it came out. I mean, this card has so much shimmer. I love it. So next, for my sentiment, I decided that I wanted it to match the card perfectly. So I used Spruce and Pink Champagne and just ink blended onto a blank piece of cardstock. Just a simple inking, and I'm just checking to make sure that that will fit perfectly, and just switching to the other side and doing Pink Champagne in the same manner. Simple ink blending. And I did try to do it this way with the ink pad directly, but I wasn't very smooth at it, so I went back to my brush and got that smoothed right out. And now I'm just going to cut these both out with the die cuts that come in that bundle as well. There's a lot in that bundle. It is really fun. I was so excited when Jen Schoolcraft decided to do this hop, or decided to coordinate it for everybody, because these have been sitting on my desk and I desperately wanted to have an excuse to actually use them because, you know, with everything going on in life this month, sometimes we just need that good excuse to have a little fun. So there we go. I've got my Be Merry all glued together. I just glued that with my precision glue tip, which is my art glitter glue, and I absolutely love that because of that precision tip. I glued the Be Merry onto the background. And now to fix my little mistake. There's a snowflake in the package that is perfect to fit over this, and so I just cut that out and inked it up, and I added that right to that area. And then you can't even tell that I made the mistake, or that, I don't even know. Do I blame myself for that? No, I don't think so. And now nobody can tell, except all of you watching. Huh. I actually like the contrast with that green there too. And now another stencil that comes in with this coordinating bundle is one that covers the space here, so you can ink blend on the negative space if you choose. And there's also a die cut that would cut that same area out. So there, like I said, there's so much available. And I don't represent this company, the Greetery, at all. I just really like their stuff. So this is me sharing it with you as as just a crafter that loves stuff, and I love this stuff. And here's a little stamp set that comes with it. And again, these little snowflakes coordinate with the big snowflakes. So I'm just adding those to the centers. And this one I didn't like as well, so I went back to the little one, but this one I'm going to put on to the center of this. And I think it was my color choice. It's way too light, as you can see. So I went ahead and grabbed the little one and went back in there and darkened that up. And I did like this for the centers a lot better. So I'm going to use Spruce, which is a lot darker, and then just fill that center in. And I was getting some ink on the edges of my block, so I was just wiping that off with a wipe. And that's just operator issues. I much prefer to use a Misty when I'm stamping, but this didn't really require that, so it's just a little quick stamping. And I'm just planning out and deciding where I want to put them. And ultimately I decided in all the larger snowflakes to fill those in. And I really do love these colors. They're so rich and pretty. I mean, they just stand out, especially that Sangria. But I'm a pink kind of girl anyway. I love pink, and I like the pink and the green together. It's just stunning to me. And as you can see, the bottom, when I did put the stencil down and filled that in, I just ink blended a little bit of the Seafoam and the pink champagne on the bottom so it wasn't so stark white. And now I'm just playing with the placement of my elements. I had so many snowflakes to choose from that I had to decide which ones because they wouldn't all fit. So I'm just making my choice. And ultimately I went with that silver, and I'm covering up that little area that didn't quite work out with the pink. So again, that was an easy fix. And that's how I decided to do my card. So now I'm just going to adhere everything down. First putting these two pieces together, and you can layer all of these snowflakes. You could triple layer, double layer. There's all sorts of possibilities. Again, this is a very, very versatile set. And the Be Merry does come with it, and there's also a stamp with that as well. But, I mean, all your other scripty dies would work well with this too. Your Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. So I put the first one down right directly on the paper, but then I decided to pop up this one with some foam dots, and then just put my sentiment directly on my card panel. And my card panel is a regular A2 size, which is 5.5 by 4.25, and that's what the stencil size is. I tend to, generally, I go a little bit smaller so I have a frame, but because of the stencil, I chose to do the full panel this time. And now this is the little stamp set, again, that comes with the bundle. And I'm just grabbing out that small little snowflake because I do find I love the details of this. So I'm just going to stamp on a few more around those little edges that were empty. Some of that free space, filling that in. And I'm just varying the colors. Putting the Sangria on the pink champagne, and then the pink champagne on the Seafoam, and then some Spruce on the pink champagne. And now I was wiping each time I was wiping with a wipe. Most of the time I grabbed my chamois and used that, but today I had inky fingers, so I just had a baby wipe out. And then right here is another mistake that I made, so learn from my mistakes. And I wiped it down, but then I didn't wait for that to dry, or I didn't use something to blot it. And so now I do get a little bit of a sploosh. So I was like, oh no, almost the last part of the card and I get a sploosh. So plan B. I cut out another die, snowflake, and I inked it up, and then I stuck it right on top of that little sploosh. And now I just have to cut off those overhang. And now we just need to add a few little embellishments and our card is all set. So these are Nuvo sequins in Silver Rain. And I'm just going to stick those onto the middle of the larger snowflakes. And that's just to finish up the card. Give it a little bit more shimmer and shine. There's so much shimmer and shine honestly just makes me happy. The shinier the better. And there we have it. So now I'm just going to put it down to an A2 panel or card base, which was 8.5 by 5.5. Geez, 8.5 by 5.5, and then I scored it at the 4.25, so it makes that 5.5 by 4.25. And there we have it, a pretty snowflake card. Well, thank you so much for stopping in and visiting with us today. The next person on the hop will be in my description below. Please make sure you hop along and show everyone some love. And thanks again to Jen Schoolcraft for getting this put together. How much fun. I love this theme. Thank you so much, everybody. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click on that subscribe button below. I'd really appreciate your support. I do this because I love crafting and I love sharing my crafts with all of you. Take care and happy crafting.